Hello students, in our previous lecture we are start a new content of unit number 4, that is income from salary. In our previous lecture or in our earlier lecture we are studied a meaning of salary, okay, then various exemptions from salary or income from salary, then we studied a types of provident fund and tax treatment for provident fund. Then we are studied a taxable allowance, okay, it means allowances, okay. So we studied a allowances. In allowances we studied a three parts of allowances, that is taxable, fully taxable allowances, then second part fully exempted allowances, and third part is partly or partially taxable and partially exempted allowances. Then we studied a perquisites, okay, perquisites. We studied a exempted and taxable perquisite, and we also studied a deduction under section 16, okay. So deduction from gross salary, that is fixed deduction or standard deduction with effect from 2020-21, amounted rupees 50,000, and professional tax 200 per month or rupees 2,500 per annum, and entertainment allowance for government employees. We already studied this point in our previous lecture. In our today's lecture we are going to discuss the valuation of perquisites, okay. So here valuation of perquisite, first point, valuation of accommodation. So in accommodation there are a two parts to compute a rent free accommodation, okay. First one is a rent free unfurnished accommodation, and second one is rent free furnished accommodation, okay. So first of all we studied a value of rent free unfurnished accommodation. So here, okay, so here we studied a rent free unfurnished accommodation, okay, for government employee, okay. Rent free furnished unfurnished, rent free unfurnished accommodation for government employee. So here, if the bungalow, if the house is provided by the employer to the employee, okay, uh, for accommodation or for residence is called a accommodation, okay. In case of government employee, the value of rent free unfurnished accommodation is computed here, given, that is particulars rupees. First point is license fee as determined by central government or state government. License fee, which is determined by central or state government, okay. Then amount, and then we deduct rent actually paid by employer, okay. So in license fees amount or in value of license fee we deduct a rent actually paid by the employer, okay, and the remaining balance is called value of rent free accommodation, okay. So computation of rent free unfurnished accommodation in case of government employee, it is very easy, okay. That is license fee minus rent actually paid by employer, those balance or the balancing figure is called rent free unfurnished accommodation, okay, got it. Then second part is for other employees. Other means other than government employee, it means private sector employees. So here private sector employees, the value of rent free unfurnished accommodation is computed as here, in front of you there are three column, okay. So here, three column, first one is owner or population, second one is where accommodation owned by employer, it means the accommodation is owned by employer or the house and bungalow is owned by the employer, and third column is the house or the bungalow is not owned by employer, and the employer is taken this house on rent or this bungalow on rent for the providing a benefit to the employee. Okay, so here computation of value of rent free unfurnished accommodation for private sector employee. Here, if house or the bungalow is owned by employer, okay, so here the accommodation is owned by employer, then we compute a rent free unfurnished accommodation for employee here as if the employee worked in the city whose population or which population is up to 10 lakh. Okay, if the employee worked in or employee residence in a population up to 10 lakh, then we compute if the accommodation is owned by employer, then we compute a 7% of salary. Okay, 7% of salary. Okay, population up to 10 lakh and accommodation is owned by employer. Okay, then 7.5% of salary. If population is up to 10 lakh and accommodation is not owned by employer, okay, taken on rent. Okay, so here we compute a value of unfurnished accommodation list of the following, that is a rent paid by employer and b less 15% of salary, whichever is lower. Okay, so here we consider here if the accommodation is not owned by employer, then we taken into consideration the list of the following, that is rent paid or 15% of salary, whichever is lower. Okay, in case of the accommodation is not owned by employer. If the accommodation is owned by employer, then we consider the population of that city, and the population of that city is up to 10 lakh, then we taken into consideration the 7.5% of salary. Then population above 10 lakh to or up to 25 lakh. Okay, so here population above 10 lakh up to 25 lakh, then the accommodation is owned by employer, then we compute a 10% of salary. Okay, here if the population of that city is more than 10 lakh but below 25 lakh or up to 25 lakh and accommodation is owned by employer, then we consider here 10% of salary. Okay, and same rule is applied for the accommodation is not owned by the employer and population is up to 25 lakh or more than 10 lakh up to 25 lakh. Got it? So here the computation is same list of the following, rent paid or 15% of salary. Got it? Then third point is population above 25 lakh and accommodation is owned by employer, then 15% of salary. Then 15% of salary. So here taken into consideration the population as per the various cities, or the population is already given to you in your problem, and according to that population we have to compute a accommodation or rent free unfurnished accommodation. Okay, if the population is up to 10 lakh and accommodation is owned by employer, then we taken into consideration that the 7.5% on salary. If population is above 10 lakh up to 25 lakh, then we consider the 10% of salary if the accommodation is owned by employer. Then population above 25 lakh and accommodation is owned by employer, then we consider here a 15% of salary. Okay. Then if the accommodation is not owned by employer, the employer taken on rent by the employer, or the employer accommodation, or the employee, sorry, here employer provided a accommodation to employee, and employer has taken this residence or this house or bungalow on rent. So we compute the minimum of the following. So minimum of the following includes actual rent paid by employer, or second 15% of salary, whichever is lower. Okay. Then hotel accommodation. Okay, so uh, hotel accommodation is not owned by the employer, so here not applicable to the hotel accommodation. But it is not owned by the employer, so it is taken on the rent, or the employer has paid the hotel charges. So computation of hotel accommodation is given here, that is list of following. First point, 24% of salary or actual rent paid by employer. 24% of salary or actual rent paid by employer, whichever is lower, is the value of rent free accommodation. Okay, furnished accommodation in hotel. Okay, in hotel. Okay, we studied the two parts in private sector employees, that is accommodation is owned by employer and accommodation is not owned by employer. If accommodation is owned by employer, then we taken into consideration the population of that city. Okay, and if the accommodation is not employer, then we consider the list of the following two. Okay, that is actual rent paid or 15% of salary, whichever is less. If the accommodation is provided by the employer to the employee in hotel, so here list of the following, that is 24% of salary, or second part is actual rent paid by employer, whichever is lower, is considered as the rent free or accommodation charges. Then here furnished accommodation, second part is furnished accommodation. So here unfurnished, we compute a rent free unfurnished accommodation. So computation is the same in furnished accommodation. Okay, computation is same in computation is same as a unfurnished accommodation. Okay, for furnished accommodation. Okay, for computing the rent free furnished accommodation, the computation is same as a unfurnished accommodation, only add. Okay, so here unfurnished or furnished accommodation computation is the same above. Okay, computation is same above, only add, same above, full stop, only add or comma, only add 10% per annum cost of furniture. Okay, so here computation is same as a computation of unfurnished accommodation, only add. So here license fee. Okay, if we compute a rent free furnished accommodation of government employee, then license fee as determined by central or state government less rent actually paid by employer. Here we get a rent free unfurnished accommodation. In rent free unfurnished accommodation, we add here. Okay, we add, just only add 10% cost of furniture per annum. Okay, furniture per annum. So cost of furniture we add here, and then we get a total, and that total is called, here we get a total. Okay, so here we get total, and that total is called rent free furnished accommodation. Okay, So computation is not different for furnished accommodation. Computation is same. Okay, only add a 10% cost of furniture per annum, we get a furnished accommodation. Okay, same for private sector employee. We compute a or we taken into consideration a population of that city, and we compute a 75%, sorry, 7.5% of salary if the population of that city is up to 10 lakh. Okay, then we add a 10% cost of furniture. Furniture means the furniture provided by the employer to the employee. Furniture includes radio sets, TV, refrigerator, air conditioner, and other household equipments or appliances. Okay, other household appliances. So we add the 10% cost of that furniture in the unfurnished accommodation. We get a furnished or rent free furnished accommodation. Okay, got it? So calculation is same, only add a 10% per annum cost of furniture. So here value of furniture includes, or value of furniture it consider. So value of furniture it includes radio sets, TV, refrigerator, air conditioners, and other household appliances. Okay. Then valuation of furniture. So here valuation of furniture is given. If the furniture is owned by employer, then we taken into consideration that the 10% cost of furniture is add in unfurnished accommodation. We get a furnished or rent free furnished accommodation. Remember this. Here if the furniture is owned by employer, okay, furniture is owned by employer, then 10% per annum of the cost of furniture is add in unfurnished accommodation. If furniture is not owned by employer, then rent or lease paid by employer is add in unfurnished accommodation. Okay, if the furniture is not owned by employer, then rent or lease paid by employer is taken into consideration for computation of rent free furnished accommodation. Okay, so here calculation is given for, or the calculation of taxable value of accommodation. Okay, so here value of rent free unfurnished accommodation. So here how to compute a value of rent free unfurnished accommodation is already studied. Okay, now we compute a furnished taxable income or furnished taxable value of accommodation. So here value of rent free furnished accommodation, then we add value of furniture. Okay, value of furniture it means 10% value of furniture if the furniture is owned by the employer. Okay, then taxable value of rent free furnished accommodation. Taxable value of rent free furnished accommodation, then we deduct, what we deduct, rent or amount recovered from employee. Rent or rent amount recovered from employee, we deduct this amount and we get a taxable value of rented furnished accommodation. Rented furnished accommodation. Okay, here we get a taxable value of rented furnished accommodation. So very easy to compute, just remember the rules. Okay, so for government employee for government employee accommodation is computed as the license fee minus actual rent paid by employer. We get a rent or rent free accommodation of government employee, then we add a furniture or 10% cost of furniture if provided by the employer and it is owned by the employee, and we get a taxable value of rent free furnished accommodation of government employee. If the any amount or any rent is recovered by the employer from the employee, then this amount is deducted from the value of rent free furnished accommodation. We get a actual rent free furnished accommodation. Got it? Same as it is computation for private sector employee, we taken into consideration the population of that city. That is, if the population is up to 10 lakh, we if the population is 10 lakh and accommodation is owned by employer, then we taken into consideration that the 7.5% of salary. Okay, then we add 10%. If furniture is provided and furniture is owned by the employer, then we taken into consideration the 10% per annum cost of furniture. Okay, and if the accommodation is not owned by the employer, then we compute a list of the following is the taxable value of rent free furnished accommodation, that is actual rent paid or 15% of salary. Okay, got it? So remember the all the calculation relating to the accommodation. Okay, now we studied the salary. Okay, salary for accommodation, we already studied a salary for different purposes. So salary for accommodation, again we revise here, that is salary is includes for or computation of accommodation. Salary means basic salary plus DA means dearness allowance into bracket consider for retirement benefit plus bonus plus commission includes all commission plus fees plus all taxable allowances plus leave encashment of salary relating to the current year. Okay, so we taken into consideration all the incomes included in salary, that is basic salary plus DA. DA is considered when it is considered for retirement benefit. If DA is not considered for retirement benefit, then we cannot take the DA here, or we cannot add the DA in basic salary, because the DA cannot be considered for the retirement benefit. Then bonus, then all type of commission, then fees. Okay, fees received or fees, then taxable allowances. Okay, so we already studied the taxable allowances means what. So all the taxable allowances are added in the salary of the assessee. Then leave encashment pertaining to the current year. So we make a total of all these items, and that total is called the salary for accommodation. Okay, and then we compute a 7.5%, 10%, 15% of salary if the accommodation is owned by employer. Okay, if not owned by employer, then list of the following, that is actual rent paid by employer or 15% of salary. So salary is all considered, this salary is considered for computation. Okay, then hotel accommodation, if hotel accommodation is provided by the employer to the employee or to the assessee, then 24% of salary. So salary means basic pay, basic salary plus DA considered for retirement benefit plus bonus plus all type of commission plus fees plus taxable allowances plus leave encashment relating to the current years. But here perquisites are not taken into consideration while considering the salary for accommodation. Perquisites is not taken into consideration. Got it? So remember this. Then here we studied a computation of taxable value of rent free accommodation. Second perquisite is given here, that is motor car facility under section 17 subsection 2. So motor car facility means the employer has provided car, no transfer of car ownership to employee or running and maintenance expenses of car paid by employer. So car facility is provided by the employer to the employee. Okay, so here chart is given in front of you, that is the purpose or situation, then official purpose. Okay, so car facility is provided by the employer and the purpose of car is given, that is car is used for official purpose, then the perquisite is exempted or taxable. So here we study the car facility perquisite. If the car is used for official purpose, then amount of car facility received from employer is taxable or not. So here all things are given here. So here purpose or situation, it means the car is owned by employer, car is owned by employee, car is owned by employer. Okay, so these are the situations or purposes. Okay, these are the situation. Okay, situation means the situation is that the car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employer. Okay, then the valuation of car facility is given here. Then second column is official purpose. The car is used for whole car is used for official purpose. Okay, official purpose. Second one is if car facility is provided and whole of the car facility is used for private purpose. Okay, if car is used for private purpose, then the valuation of motor car is given. And third or fourth column is if car facility is provided and the car facility or the car is used for both official as well as private purpose, then valuation of motor car is given here. Okay, then valuation of motor car is given here. Okay, so situation first. Okay, situation first is car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employer. It means car is owned by employer and expenses is also paid by employer. Car is owned by employer and expenses is also paid by employer. Okay, or the expenses is incurred by employer. Then okay, if the car is owned by employer and expenses incurred by employer and car is used for official purpose. Okay, and whole of the car is used for official purpose, then the car facility perquisite is exempted from tax. Okay, so car facility perquisite is exempted from tax because the car is used for official purpose. Whole of the car is used for official purpose. If car is used for private purpose, okay, if car is used for private purpose, then valuation of motor car is given here, that is repairs and maintenance expenses. Okay, repairs and maintenance expenses plus depreciation of car at 10% per annum. Then we add, so here depreciation, 10% depreciation on motor car is add in running and repairs or maintenance expenses of the car, or plus driver's salary if any. Okay, plus driver salary. Okay, so remember this, if the car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employer, then car is used for official purpose, whole of the amount of car facility is tax free. If car is used for private purpose, then value the motor car facility, that is repairs and maintenance expenses plus 10% depreciation of motor car plus driver salary if any. Okay, if car is used for official as well as private purpose, it means car is used for both purpose. Okay, so here the car is used for official purpose as well as private purpose. In this point there are two parts, that is if car cubic capacity, it is very important. A part is car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employee and car is used for both official as well as private purpose. Then first point is if car cubic capacity, car cc is up to 1.6 liter. Okay, car cubic capacity is up to 1.6 liter, then rupees 1800 per month plus rupees 900 per month driver's salary. Okay, so here valuation of motor car, if the car cc is up to 1.6 cc, okay, if up to 1.6 liter, then the valuation of motor car is rupees 1800 per month plus 900 for driver's salary is the first part. Okay, so remember this first part. And second part is, if the cubic capacity of the car is above 1.6 liter, if cubic capacity of the car is more than 1.6 liter, then valuation of motor car is rupees 2400 per month, 2400 per month plus 900 driver's salary per month, 900 driver's salary per month. Okay, so remember this situation is, first situation is car is owned by employer and expenses incurred by employer. Okay, expenses incurred by employer. If this car is used for official purpose, then all amount are exempted. If car is used for private purpose, then repairs and maintenance expenses plus 10% cost of depreciation of car plus driver's salary. Okay, then car is used for both official as well as private purpose, then two parts is there. First one is cubic capacity of car is up to 1.6 liter, then rupees 1800 per month, or and add rupees 900 per month as a driver's salary or chopper salary. Got it? If car is more than, or car cubic capacity is more than 1.6 liter, then the valuation of motor car is rupees 2400 per month plus 900 per month driver's salary or chopper salary. Okay, in case of car is owned by employer and expenses incurred by employer. Second situation is given here, that is car is owned by employer. Okay, so ownership of car is remains with the employer and expenses paid by employee and expenses incurred by employee. Car is owned by employer and expenses incurred by employee, and this car is used for official purpose. So car is used for official purpose, whole car is used for official purpose, then it is exempted or tax free. Tax free. Okay, so here tax free. Okay, so here remember this, car is owned by employer and expenses is paid by or incurred by employee, and car is used for official purpose, then it is tax free or exempted from tax. If car is used for private purpose, then 10% per annum cost of car, 10% per annum cost of car plus driver's salary is the amount of valuation of motor car. Okay, motor car facility, if car is used by private purpose and the car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employee. Remember, the second situation is, if car is owned by employer, expenses paid by employee, and whole car is used for official purpose, then all of the amount is exempted or tax free. If car is used for private purpose, then 10% per annum cost of motor car plus driver's salary. Third point is that the car is used for both purpose, official as well as private purpose, then expenses paid by employer. Then here first point is that is if cubic capacity of the car is up to 1.6 liter, then rupees 600 per month, not 6000. So here 600 per month, rupees 600 per month. If the cubic capacity of car is 1.6 liter or up to 1.6 liter, plus 900 driver salary or chopper salary, got it, plus 900 driver salary or chopper salary. Then second one is if car cubic capacity is more than the 1.6 liter, then valuation of motor car is 900 per month plus 900 per month salary of driver in case of car is owned by employer and expenses incurred or expenses paid by employee. Remember this situation number second. Okay, situation second is car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employee. Whole of the car is used for official purpose, then exempted. Whole of the car is used for private purpose, then 10% cost of motor car plus driver salary. Car is used for both official as well as private purpose, then we taken into consideration the cubic capacity of the car. First point is cubic capacity is up to 1.6 liter, then 600 per month, okay, plus 900 drivers or chopper salary. If second point, if cubic capacity of the car is more than 1.6 liter, then 900 per month plus 900 per month drivers or chopper salary. Okay, so remember this second situation. Third situation is car is owned by employee and expenses paid by employer. So here car is owned by employee and expenses paid by employer. It means expenses paid on car, that is repairs and maintenance expenses, is paid by employer. So here valuation of motor car in the case of situation third, that is car is used for official purpose, then it is tax free or it is exempted. Car is used for private purpose, then actual expenditure incurred by employer is the value of motor car. Then car is used for official as well as private purpose, then we consider the cubic capacity of the car, that is cubic capacity of the car is above or up to 1.6 liter. Okay, so first of all we study the up to 1.6 liter, then 1800 per month plus 900 driver salaries or chopper salary. If cubic capacity of the car is more than 1.6 liter, then 2400 per month or 900 per month as a driver salary is the valuation of motor car. Okay, so remember these three situations. Okay, first situation is car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employer. Second one is car is owned by employer and expenses paid by employee. Third one is car is owned by employee and expenses paid by employer. Okay, got it? Got it? Yes sir. So here we study the two perquisite or valuation of perquisites. Okay, valuation of perquisites. Okay, अगेन वी रिवाइज इट. बघा यामध्ये दोन परक्विजिट आहेत आणि अत्यंत महत्त्वाची परक्विजिट्स आहेत ही. ओके, काय सांगितलेलं आहे की परक्विजिट पहिलं जे आहे ते ॲकोमोडेशन आहे. ॲकोमोडेशन म्हणजे काय, तर व्हॅल्युएशन ऑफ ॲकोमोडेशन. त्यामध्ये पहिला पार्ट आहे तो व्हॅल्यू ऑफ रेंट फ्री अनफर्निश्ड ॲकोमोडेशन. अनफर्निश्ड म्हणजे रिकामा बंगला त्या SSCला काय केलं असेल, राहायला दिलं असेल, त्याला म्हटलं जातं अनफर्निश्ड. म्हणजे त्यामध्ये कोणतेही फर्निचर दिलं नसेल, TV दिला नसेल, रेफ्रिजरेटर दिला नसेल, TV सेट दिला नसेल, ओके, रेडिओ सेट दिला नसेल, त्याला म्हटलं जातं अनफर्निश्ड ॲकोमोडेशन. मग ते अनफर्निश्ड ॲकोमोडेशन आणखी दोन विभागात विभागलेलं आहे किंवा दोन याच्यामध्ये सेगमेंट झालेलं आहे. एक म्हणजे गव्हर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय आणि दुसरं म्हणजे प्रायव्हेट सेक्टर एम्प्लॉईज. मग गव्हर्नमेंट सेक्टर एम्प्लॉईजचं अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन कसं कम्प्यूट केलं जातं, तर त्यामध्ये लायसन फी जी काही सेंट्रल किंवा स्टेट गव्हर्नमेंटने डिटरमाइन केली असेल ती, त्यातून लेस होईल ॲक्च्युअल रेंट पेड बाय एम्प्लॉयर, जी काही रक्कम येईल त्याला म्हटलं जाईल रेंट फ्री अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन. लक्षात आलं, त्याला काय म्हटलं जाईल, रेंट फ्री अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन फॉर गव्हर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय. ओके, हे झालं अनफर्निश्ड. आता प्रायव्हेट सेक्टरच्या एम्प्लॉईच्या बाबतीत आपण अनफर्निश्ड बघूया आणि मग फर्निश्ड जाऊया. ओके, प्रायव्हेट सेक्टरमध्ये एम्प्लॉई काम करत असेल तर त्यामध्ये सिच्युएशन आहे की तो एम्प्लॉई कोणत्या ठिकाणी राहतो, त्याच्या सिटीच्या पॉप्युलेशनवरती त्याचं आपल्याला काय करावं लागणार आहे, रेंट फ्री अनफर्निश्ड व्हॅल्यू कम्प्यूट करावी लागणार आहे. मग ती कशी कम्प्यूट केली जाईल, तर द पॉप्युलेशन ऑफ द सिटी. ओके, त्यामध्ये दोन पार्ट पडलेले आहेत की जरी अकोमोडेशन प्रायव्हेट एम्प्लॉईला दिलं तर देत असताना आपण 7.5% सॅलरीच्या कधी घ्यायचे, 10% सॅलरीच्या कधी घ्यायचे आणि 15% सॅलरीच्या कधी घ्यायचे. ओके, हे कधी घेतलं जाईल, सॅलरीचे पर्सेंटेज कधी आपण विचारात घेणार, जेव्हा ते हाऊस किंवा ते अकोमोडेशन त्या एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं असेल तेव्हा. मी काय म्हटलं, कधी आपण हे पर्सेंटेज विचारात घेणार आहे कम्प्युटेशनसाठी, तर ज्या वेळेस एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं अकोमोडेशन असेल त्याच वेळेस आपण हे पर्सेंटेज विचारात घेणार आहे. जर एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं अकोमोडेशन नसेल आणि एम्प्लॉयरनं ते रेंटवरती म्हणजे भाड्यानं घेतलं असेल तर त्याचं कॅल्क्युलेशन हे लिस्ट ऑफ द फॉलोइंग आपण पाहिलं, म्हणजे ॲक्च्युअल रेंट पेड किंवा 15% सॅलरीच्या, या दोन्हीपैकी जी व्हॅल्यू असेल ती आपण टॅक्सेबल म्हणणार आहे. लक्षात आलं, अनफर्निश्डमध्ये. आता सिच्युएशन काय दिलेली आहे त्यांनी की एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं अकोमोडेशन आहे आणि जर एसएसी किंवा एम्प्लॉई ज्या सिटीत राहतो त्या सिटीचं पॉप्युलेशन हे 10 लाखापर्यंत आहे. बघा मी काय म्हटलं, जो एसएसी काम करतोय तो 10 लाख पॉप्युलेशन असणाऱ्या सिटीमध्ये राहतोय, तर किती टक्के सॅलरीच्या घ्या, 7.5% सॅलरीच्या विचारात घ्या जर अकोमोडेशन एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं असेल तर. ओके, पॉप्युलेशन हे 10 लाखापेक्षा जास्त आणि 25 लाखापर्यंत असेल, पॉप्युलेशन म्हणजे लोकसंख्या त्या सिटीची 10 लाखापेक्षा जास्त आणि 25 लाखांपर्यंत असेल तर सॅलरीच्या 10% घ्या, केव्हा, जेव्हा अकोमोडेशन एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं असेल तेव्हा. लक्षात आलं. त्यानंतर तिसरा पार्ट आपण पाहिला तो म्हणजे की लोकसंख्या 25 लाखापेक्षा जास्त आहे मग आणि अकोमोडेशन एम्प्लॉयरच्याच मालकीचा आहे तर किती टक्के घ्या, 15% सॅलरीच्या कॅल्क्युलेट करा आणि ती घ्या. लक्षात आलं. हे झालं सिच्युएशन. एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं होतं म्हणून सॅलरीवरती आपण पर्सेंटेज कम्प्यूट केलं. ज्यावेळेस एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं नसतं त्यावेळेस आपण काय करतो, तर दोनपैकी लिस्ट व्हॅल्यू आपण विचारात घेतो. ओके, लिस्ट ऑफ फॉलोइंग म्हणजे जी कमी आहे ती विचारात घेणार. मग ती कोणती, तर पहिली ॲक्च्युअल रेंट पेड बाय एम्प्लॉयर किंवा 15% सॅलरीच्या जी व्हॅल्यू कमी येईल ती कन्सिडर केली जाईल. आता हॉटेल अकोमोडेशन प्रोव्हाइड केलं तर एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं हॉटेल असेलच असं नाही. ओके, मग तिथं डॅशच येईल. ओके, मग ते काय राहणार आहे, तर हॉटेल अकोमोडेशन प्रोव्हाइड केलं असेल तर ते रेंटवरतीच राहणार आहे. रेंटवरती राहत असेल तर त्याचं व्हॅल्युएशन वेगळ्या पद्धतीत आहे. काय होईल, तर 24% 24% ऑन सॅलरी और ॲक्च्युअल रेंट पेड बाय एम्प्लॉयर विच एव्हर इज लोअर. म्हणजे सॅलरीच्या 24% किंवा किती जे काय रेंट त्या हॉटेलचं असेल ते पेड केलं असेल एम्प्लॉयरनं, त्या दोन्हीपैकी जी कमी असेल ती रेंट फ्री अकोमोडेशन कन्सिडर होते. लक्षात आलं. आता हे झालं अनफर्निश्ड. फर्निश्डसाठी काय आहे तर फर्निश्डसाठी जास्त काही नाही, सेम हेच कॅल्क्युलेशन आहे. कॅल्क्युलेशन अनफर्निश्डचं जे आत्ता आपण केलं तेच आहे, फक्त त्यामध्ये फर्निचरची कॉस्ट जी असेल त्याच्या 10% रक्कम काढा आणि ती ॲड करा. फर्निचरच्या कॉस्ट जी असेल त्याच्या 10% काढा आणि ती रेंट फ्री अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशनमध्ये ॲड करा. आपल्याला मिळून जाईल रेंट फ्री फर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन और टॅक्सेबल रेंट फ्री फर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन. आता फर्निचर म्हणजे काय तर त्यामध्ये काय काय इन्क्ल्यूड होतं तर व्हॅल्यू ऑफ रेडिओ सेट्स, व्हॅल्यू ऑफ 10% व्हॅल्यू ऑफ रेफ्रिजिरेटर, 10% व्हॅल्यू ऑफ सोफा सेट. ओके, सो एक्सेट्रा आर provided by the employer to the employee in accommodation. Got it? त्यानंतर 10% फर्निचर कॉस्ट कधी घ्यायची हे एक महत्त्वाचं आहे. जर ते फर्निचर हे त्या एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं नसेल तर 10% कॉस्ट विचारात घेऊन चालेल का? चालणार नाही. मग यामध्ये काय सांगितलेलं आहे की एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं फर्निचर असेल तर त्या फर्निचरची 10% कॉस्ट कम्प्यूट करून त्या रेंट फ्री फर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशनमध्ये ॲड करा. ओके, अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशनमध्ये ॲड केल्यानंतर आपल्याला मिळेल. ओके, आणि जर फर्निचर हे एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीचं नसेल तर एम्प्लॉयरने जो काही त्या फर्निचरचं रेंट पेड करत असेल किंवा लीज पेड करत असेल ते विचारात घ्या. हा त्यातला दुसरा पार्ट. आता त्याचं कम्प्युटेशन कसं केलं जातं टॅक्सेबल रेंट फ्री फर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन. तर अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन दिलं जातं. अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशनमधून आपण काय लेस करतो तर काय लेस करतो अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशनमधून तर आपण ॲक्च्युअल रेंट पेड जे काही एम्प्लॉयरने केलं असेल ते वजा करतो. आपल्याला जी रक्कम मिळते ती व्हॅल्यू ऑफ अनफर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन, त्यामध्ये आपण काय करतो ॲड तर 10% कॉस्ट ऑफ फर्निचर इफ द एक्सपेन्सेस ऑर द फर्निचर इज ओन्ड बाय एम्प्लॉयर. Okay, got it. And the amount will call the taxable value of furnished accommodation, but we deduct some amount which is recovered from the salary of the assessee. म्हणजे काही रक्कम काही प्रॉब्लेममध्ये काय केलं जातं काही रक्कम ही ॲसेसीच्या सॅलरीमधून रिकवर केली जाते या अकोमोडेशनची, ती आपल्याला लेस करावी लागते. ती लेस करून जी काही व्हॅल्यू येईल ती असणार आहे आपली टॅक्सेबल व्हॅल्यू ऑफ फर्निश्ड अकोमोडेशन. लक्षात आलं. सॅलरी म्हणजे काय हे सुद्धा मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं की सॅलरी म्हणजे बेसिक पे प्लस DA कन्सिडर फॉर रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट प्लस बोनस प्लस कमिशन ऑल टॅक्सेबल अलाउन्सेस, ह्या सर्वांची बेरीज म्हणजे तुमची सॅलरी राहणार आहे. त्यानंतर आपण मोटार कार फॅसिलिटी पाहिलं. मोटार कार फॅसिलिटी सुद्धा सोपं आहे. ओके, मोटार कार फॅसिलिटी काय सांगतं तर बघा त्यामध्ये सुद्धा सिच्युएशन्स आहेत. ओके, त्यानुसार त्यामध्ये काय काय सिच्युएशन आहेत ते एक आपण बघणार आहे. तर सिच्युएशन काय आहे तर जी कार आहे ती कोणाच्या मालकीची आहे आणि तिचा खर्च कोण करतंय. ओके, मग ती कोणत्या कारणासाठी वापरली जाते. ऑफिशियल पर्पजसाठी वापरली जात असेल तर काय टॅक्स ट्रीटमेंट होईल. प्रायव्हेट पर्पजसाठी वापरली जात असेल तर काय टॅक्स ट्रीटमेंट होईल. दोन्ही कारणांसाठी वापरली जाईल तर काय त्याचा काय होईल ट्रीटमेंट होईल हे एक आपण इथं पाहिलं. जर कार जी आहे ती एम्प्लॉयरच्याच मालकीची आहे म्हणजे जो मालक आहे जो ओनर आहे त्या ओनरच्या मालकीची कार आहे आणि त्या कारचे खर्च सुद्धा तो एम्प्लॉयरच करतोय आणि जर ती कार पूर्णपणे ऑफिससाठी यूज केली तर ती एक्झम्प्ट राहील. लक्षात आलं. जर ती कार तुम्ही प्रायव्हेट पर्पजसाठी यूज केली तर त्यामध्ये सांगितलेलं आहे की रिपेअरचा जो काही खर्च असेल किंवा मेंटेनन्स खर्च असेल प्लस 10% डेप्रिसिएशन जे काही कारचं असेल ते ॲड होईल, प्लस ड्रायव्हर तुम्ही त्याच्यावर अपॉइंट केला असेल तर त्या ड्रायव्हरची सॅलरी होईल आणि त्याच्यानंतर त्याचं व्हॅल्युएशन होईल मोटार कारचं. लक्षात आलं जर प्रायव्हेटसाठी यूज केली तर. जर दोन्ही कारणांसाठी यूज केली, प्रायव्हेट प्लस ऑफिस पर्पजसाठी यूज केली, तर त्यामध्ये दोन पार्ट पडतात. ते म्हणजे कारचे कॅपॅसिटी, इंजिन कॅपॅसिटी किती आहे याच्यावरती त्याचं व्हॅल्युएशन ठरलं जातं. ओके, जर कारची क्युबिक कॅपॅसिटी ही 1.6 लिटर इथपर्यंत असेल किंवा तेवढी असेल तर महिन्याला किती रुपये, 1800 रुपये कन्सिडर केले जातात. आणि त्याचबरोबर ड्रायव्हर सॅलरी दिली असेल, ओके, किंवा ड्रायव्हर प्रोव्हाइड केला असेल तर त्या ड्रायव्हरची सॅलरी 900 पर मंथ आपण घेणार आहे आणि त्याचं व्हॅल्युएशन करणार आहे. जर कारची क्युबिक कॅपॅसिटी 1.6 लिटरपेक्षा जास्त आहे तर आपण तिथं 2400 रुपये पर मंथ घेणार आहे, प्लस ड्रायव्हर सॅलरी 900 पर मंथ घेणार आणि त्याचं कम्प्युटेशन करणार. त्याचबरोबर कार दुसरी सिच्युएशन काय सांगितली की कार ही ओनर्ड आहे एम्प्लॉयरची, म्हणजे मालकीची आहे, ओनरच्या एम्प्लॉयरच्या मालकीची आहे, परंतु खर्च कोण करतंय, एम्प्लॉई करतंय. पूर्णपणे ऑफिससाठी वापरली एक्झम्प्ट राहील, पूर्णपणे प्रायव्हेट वापरली तर 10% कॉस्ट जी काय असेल त्या कारची ती प्लस ड्रायव्हर सॅलरी इफ एनी ती सगळी त्यात ॲड होईल आणि त्याचं व्हॅल्युएशन होईल. जर कार दोन्ही कारणांसाठी वापरली, एम्प्लॉई खर्च करतोय तर मात्र मग इथं कार क्युबिक कॅपॅसिटी 1.6 लिटर एवढी असेल तर 600 पर मंथ प्लस 900 ड्रायव्हर सॅलरी और चॉपर सॅलरी. कार क्युबिक कॅपॅसिटी 1.6 लिटरपेक्षा जास्त असेल तर 900 पर मंथ प्लस 900 ड्रायव्हर सॅलरी. ओके, कधी घेतलं जाईल तर एम्प्लॉई खर्च करतोय म्हणून. तिसरी सिच्युएशन काय सांगितली की कार ओनर्ड आहे एम्प्लॉईची, म्हणजे कार ही एम्प्लॉईच्या मालकीची आहे आणि खर्च कोण देतोय, एम्प्लॉयर देतोय, तर कार ऑफिससाठी यूज केली असेल एक्झम्प्टेड राहील, टॅक्स फ्री राहील. कार प्रायव्हेट पर्पजसाठी यूज केली असेल तर तिथं जे ॲक्च्युअल खर्च एम्प्लॉयर देतोय तेवढेच इथं कन्सिडर केले जातील. त्याच्यानंतर जर कार दोन्ही कारणांसाठी म्हणजे ऑफिस आणि तुमचे प्रायव्हेट पर्पज दोन्ही कारणांसाठी यूज केली जात असेल तर मात्र तिथं सेम ॲज इट इज आपण जे पहिल्यांदा पाहिलं तेच इथं घेणार आहे. म्हणजे क्युबिक कॅपॅसिटी 1.6 लिटर एवढी असेल तर 1800 पर मंथ प्लस ड्रायव्हर सॅलरी 900 पर मंथ आणि क्युबिक कॅपॅसिटी 1.6 लिटरपेक्षा जास्त असेल तर 2400 पर मंथ प्लस 900 पर मंथ ड्रायव्हर सॅलरी आणि मग त्याचं व्हॅल्युएशन आपण करणार आहे. तर हे सर्व इम्पॉर्टंट आहे, महत्त्वाचे 2 परक्विजिट्स आहे व्हॅल्युएशन ऑफ परक्विजिट, ते तुम्ही लक्षात ठेवा. ओके, या सर्व थेरीवरती तुमचं प्रॅक्टिकल प्रॉब्लेम डिपेंड आहे. ओके, ज्यावेळेस तुम्ही हे लक्षात ठेवाल कम्प्युटेशन त्यावेळेसच तुम्हाला सॅलरीचा इन्कम कम्प्यूट करावा किंवा करता येणार आहे. ओके, so here we studied a perquisite or valuation of perquisite, that is valuation of accommodation and valuation of motor car facility. Okay, in our next lecture we are start a practical problem on computation of income from salary. Okay, so here problem number first is given in front of your screen. Okay, so this problem we will solve in our next video. Okay, so thank you very much.